In a small, sunlit village at the edge of a dense forest in ancient Greece, there lived a young man named Orpheus. He was known far and wide, not only for his striking appearance, but for the music he drew from his lyre. When his fingers touched the strings, the world itself seemed to pause. The birds would quiet, the leaves would shimmer, and even the river would bend its current as though leaning in to listen. Yet, for all his fame, Orpheus's heart felt incomplete. Music filled the ears of others, but never the emptiness he carried inside. One warm spring morning, as Orpheus wandered through a field of wildflowers, his eyes fell upon a woman whose beauty seemed to belong not to the earth, but to the heavens themselves. Her name was Eurydice, and she moved with a grace that left the air trembling. She laughed as she chased after a butterfly, her dark hair catching the sunlight. Orpheus, usually calm and reserved, felt his chest tighten in a way he had never known. It was not just beauty he saw, but a soul whose depth mirrored his own. He approached her slowly, afraid that the moment might vanish if he moved too quickly. "Hello," he said softly, his voice like a gentle chord. Eurydice turned, her eyes bright with curiosity. "Hello," she replied, her voice carrying the warmth of sunlight. They spoke for hours that day, sharing stories of the forest, the music that moved their hearts, and the quiet dreams they kept secret from the world. Orpheus found that with her, the emptiness inside him began to fade. Eurydice, too, felt a pull she could not explain, a gentle tether to a heart that seemed made for hers. By evening, they walked along the riverbank, hand in hand, listening to the music of nature as it sang around them. The days that followed were a whirlwind of laughter, song, and quiet intimacy. Orpheus would play his lyre while Eurydice danced in the soft glow of dawn. She would tell him of the stars, imagining constellations and stories they had never heard. Their love grew steadily, like a vine reaching toward the sun, unafraid and unbroken. And the villagers began to speak in whispers of the couple whose love was so pure it could sway the world itself. But fate, as it often does, hides shadows beneath the brightest sunlight. One day, as Eurydice wandered through the forest, a snake hidden in the grass struck her foot. Its venom was swift, its touch fatal. Orpheus ran to her side, cradling her fragile body, but no tear, no song, no plea could stop the inevitable. Eurydice's eyes, full of warmth and light, gazed up at him one last time, and then they closed forever. Orpheus's heart shattered. He fell to his knees beside her, the lyre slipping from his hands. The music that had once charmed gods and men alike fell silent, drowned by the roar of grief. He held her lifeless body against his chest, and in that moment, a single thought consumed him. He could not live without her. And so he made a choice that no living man had dared to descend into the underworld itself, seeking to bring back the woman he loved beyond death. The underworld was a place of shadow and sorrow, a land where even the bravest hearts trembled. Orpheus walked its winding paths, the air heavy with despair, carrying only his lyre and a hope that refused to die. The shades of lost souls drifted past him like smoke, whispering names and regrets, their eyes hollow, empty. Orpheus's hand shook, but he pressed onward, calling out softly for Eurydice, even though he knew that her voice would not reach him here.
Finally, he arrived at the gates of Hades, the lord of the underworld, who sat on a throne of black stone, flanked by shadows that whispered like the wind through dry leaves. Orpheus bowed deeply. Hades, king of the dead, I come to you not with anger or theft, but with love. I beg you, grant me Eurydice's life once more. Hades' gaze was unyielding, yet there was a flicker of curiosity. Many have tried to defy the natural order, young musician. Many have failed. Orpheus lifted his lyre, and a single note rang out, a note so pure it cut through the darkness. The music told a story of love so deep it could not be contained by death, of longing so strong it trembled in every heartstring. Eurydice, he whispered, was not just his love, but his very soul. Even Hades, whose heart was thought impervious to mortal emotion, paused. Your music is true, and your love is rare, he said at last. I will allow Eurydice to return with you to the living world, but there is one condition. You must not look back at her until you have reached the surface. One glance, one moment of doubt, and she will remain here forever. Orpheus nodded, determination burning in his eyes. He stepped forward, and as if summoned by the power of his love, Eurydice appeared behind him. She was pale, ethereal, but alive in the glow of his heart. Her eyes met his, and she reached for his hand, trembling with both fear and hope. Together they began the long journey upward. The path was steep and treacherous, and Orpheus could feel her presence just behind him, soft as a whisper, guiding him through the darkness. The shadows of the underworld seemed to watch them, testing his resolve, whispering doubts. She is not yours. Turn and look, or lose her forever. Orpheus tightened his grip on his lyre, drawing strength from the music that flowed within him. Each step was agony and ecstasy intertwined. The longing to see her face and the need to obey the command of Hades warring within him. And all the while, Eurydice's soft presence trailed him like a gentle echo, fragile but unwavering.
Orpheus and Eurydice moved through the shadows, their hearts beating as one, every step a testament to the love that defied death itself. The path grew lighter, the air warmer, and the sounds of the living world, birds, wind, and distant laughter, began to drift down to them. Orpheus could almost taste the sunlight, feel the grass beneath his feet, and hear the river singing like it once had. But with each step, doubt gnawed at him. He could feel her behind him, her soft breath, the rhythm of her heartbeat, yet he could not see her face. The fear of losing her forever, the absolute finality of death overwhelmed him. Could she truly be there? Could she truly be following him? His fingers tightened on the strings of his lyre, the music trembling with desperation. Eurydice's hand brushed his shoulder, gentle and real, and the longing within him became unbearable. One glance, he thought, one glance, and he will know she is safe. One glance, and everything will be as it was. And then, in a moment that would forever haunt the songs of men, Orpheus turned his head. Eurydice was there, her eyes wide with love and sorrow, reaching for him. But the instant his gaze met hers, she began to fade. Like mist under the morning sun, she slipped from his grasp, her hands reaching for him in a silent plea. "No!" Orpheus cried.
But the underworld would not be defied twice. Her last words, whispered like a breeze, lingered in the darkness. "Remember me." Orpheus fell to his knees, his heart breaking in a way that no music could ever heal. The lyre slipped from his hands once more, its strings silent. He had brought her this far, but one fleeting glance had undone it all. The shadows closed in, and Eurydice was gone, carried back into the endless night from which no mortal could retrieve her.
Orpheus emerged from the underworld alone, the sunlight blinding after the darkness of death. He wandered the forests and villages, his heart shattered, yet filled with a sorrow so profound it demanded to be heard. And so he played. Every note of his lyre told the story of Eurydice, the love that had ignited his soul, the longing that had driven him to the gates of death, and the heartbreak of losing her once more. Birds would pause mid-flight, rivers would bend toward him, and even the wind seemed to carry the echo of his grief. Men and women came to hear him play, and though his eyes were often wet with tears, there was beauty in the sorrow, a purity that touched every heart. He never married, never sought another love. Eurydice remained in his soul, a haunting melody of hope and heartbreak. Sometimes at dusk, he would walk to the edge of a forest, close his eyes, and almost feel her hand in his, the echo of her voice whispering through the leaves. And though she was gone, Orpheus's music became eternal, a testament to a love that had defied death itself, even if only for a fleeting moment. Lovers who heard his lyre wept, not for Orpheus alone, but for all who have known the joy of love and the sorrow of loss. His story, carried through song and myth, reminds the world that true love leaves a mark that death can never erase. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more real-life love and emotional stories. Your support helps us bring more meaningful stories to life.